What's going on, YouTubers? This is me, Johnny, just sitting in the crib, chilling. I spent the afternoon walking outside. Early today when I got up, there was no electricity. I think now there is. But now there's no freaking water. My landlord said we'd have water, but now we don't. So either he was messing with me, or who knows what's going on. Anyways, as far as I know, the electricity's back on. My refrigerator's running at least. But early in the morning I had to go out and run off to Mickey D's and get some coffee, because when the electric goes out, there's only a few places here that usually have it, and McDonald's is one of them. So you can always go there and get a coffee or whatever. Part of the reason I've been going to McDonald's more is because you get a large coffee there for 12Q, and before, like a couple of years ago, most of the coffee chains here, and a lot of the, I don't want to say yuppie coffee places, but the nicer, higher end ones towards Gringos charge 17, 18, 19, 20Q. Well, they're all raised their prices up to like 17Q, but they used to be like you could get a small coffee for like 12. There's still a few places like that. But here's the thing. I try to always get a coffee where I can get free Wi-Fi. Well, not just free Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi that's fast. That's part of the reason why I picked half the places to go to, because sometimes if you want to use Wi-Fi and check your email and stuff like that, not everywhere has good Wi-Fi. Anyways, I just was wanting to record a video on my thoughts today. I was walking. Previously, I said you could go to the pawn shops here. You get some good deals on gold. I'm not sure you're getting good deals because I can't remember what the purity of the gold here is, because there's like 18 karat gold. I think this was not 18 karat, but the lesser carats. You figure out what the ratio is. It's something like 50% gold. Sometimes it's less than that. You figure it all out, because usually here they tell you how many grams it is, like the whole weight. Then you subtract out, like if it's 50% gold, like if it's 3 grams, it could be 1.5 grams of gold. Go online and figure out what that was. If you're paying a huge premium, it may not be worth it. If you can pay slightly under that, or that is the gold price, it's a cheap way to buy gold without buying in coin form. But if you're going to do that, you better make sure you have a plan how you can get rid of it. Mostly what gringos do is they buy it down here. They take up, there's 2 refiners in the States, 2. Yeah, 2. One of them, you don't need to have a large bulk of gold to sell to them. And then you could just, if you want to sell it in your own name, they'll send you a check. If you want to send it in a nominee's name, you could do that, whatever you want. Just have all that rearranged beforehand. So work out how you're going to send it there, how you're going to get paid. But anyways, the reason I wanted to make a video is because a lot of electronic stuff is cheap. Now, I don't know, like the quality. I was seeing there's a lot of cameras and video recorders like Nikon. What was the other one? Oh, it's one of the Canon. I have a Canon, and it was one of those Canon ones like you hold it in your hand like this with the flip out part. The actual thing flips out and you can see what you're recording. In the States, those are about $300, which if you're at the $300 price point, you're getting a pretty good camera. Now that's the United States. I can't remember if that was a Canon, but it's a $300 camera like that. Most of the other influencers and YouTubers are using the way more expensive shit, which I think is kind of stupid. But I mean, if you're making like $10,000 a month, or even $2,000 or $3,000, maybe it's worth it. But I'm not going to spend like $5,000 or $10,000 for a camera and then have it get stolen or broke or something. Because nowadays, what people are doing, they're like taking video footage of like a lot of protests and stuff like that, and people don't like that, so they'll take your camera and break it or whatever. So anyways, I'm just kind of pointing that out. Well, anyways, I went to the pawn shops kind of in my neighborhood, kind of in the nicer end of town, and there's just like an abundance of electronics, like all kinds of cameras, and some of the more expensive cameras, the SDRs, DLCs, or whatever they're called. Like for you professional people, you know what I'm talking about. Those really expensive cameras with the big ass lenses that go out. You can buy lenses and put them in, screw them in. I think DSLs, I think they're called. I'm not a camera dude. Anyways, you could get those really cheap. Now, I'm not saying it's the highest quality. I'm just saying I noticed there's a lot of selection, and Whether they're bargain or not, I don't know. I might buy one and just up my game, but I couldn't see the model number on this one Canon because I wanted to compare it to what it costs in the States. But if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's actually a pretty good camera. I don't know if you recharge the battery. I presume you recharge the battery somehow, or if you can take it out and put it in the charger, if you could replace the battery. I don't know, because I usually don't spend that much money on cameras. But if it was a good quality battery that could be recharged, it wouldn't be a problem. It would probably be an improvement for what I have. So anyways, just my walk around town, there's a lot of bargains out there. I just think this means there's a signal or clues that the economy just isn't as good as people think. In fact, one of my favorite commentators was just pointing out, he thinks we're still in a recession, and he thinks the economy is going to get worse. That's why it doesn't bother me that Biden won and the Democrats own Congress now, because they're going to get blamed for it all. Anyways, I don't want to get too political because I don't want people mad at me, but they own it now, or they will. Now, I guess there's a 20-30% chance that the economy will boom, but I really don't think so. I don't think the economy is much going to boom anywhere. Another thing is, I had no idea Doug Casey had a YouTube site. He's got this new guy, Matt Smith, interviewing him, and I was looking at his videos. His content's really good, what they're putting out there for free. It kind of surprised me. They've been putting out videos under the name Doug Casey, and not interviews, but just, Doug shooting his mouth off about their life, career, various odds and ends. Even Argentina. He's still kind of bearish on Argentina. He's still kind of got egg on his face. He's still, I fucked up on that. And he just said in the next 4 years, he thinks Argentina could be a graveyard for capital. He didn't say it that way, but he just said the kleptocrats or something like that. That's what's funny about Doug. He says that there's this huge, can't remember what he said, a kleptocrat there. But the lady there, she's vice president. She used to be president. Her and her husband used to run the country for their own benefit as their own personal fiefdom. And they must have looted 20, 30, 40, 50 billion out of there. I'm talking over the years, maybe more, maybe less, I don't know. But he's just saying he thinks as bad as it is, it will get worse. And he points out that's why he's in Uruguay, despite Uruguay being fairly socialist. I'm just, putting that out there. That's his opinion. But like, if you could afford it, he said the cost of living is kind of high there for what you get. But he said, despite it being socialist, if you're a gringo, they don't really care what you do, which is true of most of Latin America. That's why I just prefer to stay in Guatemala. But, you can go there. There's no politics. It's weird like in the U.S. Like, forget to wear your mask. Someone thinks you're making a political statement. That's me. I forget my mask half the time. And no one gets mad at you and wants to beat you up with a baseball bat or thinks you're a Trump guy or whatever. They don't really think nothing. They just, he must have forgot his mask. Anyhow, even when I forgot it, usually no one says anything. No one beats me up or cusses me out in Spanish. That's kind of cool. Anyways, Doug was just talking about that's why he's in Uruguay now, because things are kind of messed up in Argentina. But he's still kind of stubbornly hanging on that Argentina is going to recover, because he's saying right now could be a good time to buy real estate really cheap. But he said it's been such a disaster for him in some cases, I presume his real estate development, that he doesn't want to say, in the next 20 years. I mean, after he's dead, probably it'll be good. Maybe. I don't know. They've been saying Brazil is like the future for he's been saying it for a long time. But he did say if you want to live in South America, a good place to live for a second passport is southern Brazil, which is kind of interesting. Maybe the best. He's just pointing out like Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador is kind of... I agree with him. It's not for me. If you have some personal reason to be there, go ahead and knock yourself out. So anyways, if you want to see what he's up to and what he's talking about, it's a gentleman or a man named Matt Smith is interviewing him. And there was no call to action, but I did notice the last videos they put a link at the bottom, kind of the call to action. I presume that's going to be a newsletter eventually that they're going to start up. I also presume Doug Casey's more or less retiring, and this guy's going to kind of take over the business or some of the content that Doug would put out in the past. And they have some good videos on traveling, what to expect, how the world's getting smaller, not bigger. I still kind of agree with not everything Doug says, but quite a bit. A lot of people are going to, probably disagree. That's cool. There's a lot. There's just, once you get out of the United States and get into other parts of the world, you're going to start to see the U.S. is losing a lot of influence among its former allies. Now, some people think that'll change it in bad ways, good ways. I don't know. I just think it's going to be good and bad. And some of the good is if you want to live there, you have more liberty and freedoms to do what you want with your life and run your business. That's what I like about Doug, because he's pointing out even in the socialist Uruguay, they don't really give a flip what you do down there. I could say the same about Guatemala. They don't care. Like I've never, like, one guy asked one of my friends, he's black, he said, he's worried about the police here. I said, I've never had the police ask me anything about anything. Like, I even know people here who they've overstayed their visa more than 5 years. Like, more than 5 years. And I know this young man had a problem with the police for something totally unrelated. They came to his door and banged on it. They still didn't kick him out of the country, arrest him. That's what I'm trying to tell people. They really don't care down here. And I'll have people argue till cows come home. Oh, blah, blah, blah. That's just my experience. I know quite a few people who been here 5-6 years. The new president, not the new president, but the previous president, when he came in, he created an amnesty, and they knocked down 80 or 90% of the fines. He applied for that, and then he got his permanent residency. He got married to a local here, and now he's legal. The other guy didn't, although he did get married to a local. I don't know what he did, because he's not here legally, so, like, I'm not sure how he worked that out. I never really asked him about it, but anyways, I was just gonna say, I've been meaning to start watching podcasts again for Johnny Mueller. In case you don't know, I've promoted him before, but Johnny Mueller has a podcast. Just Google Johnny Mueller and the Expat Files. I'm gonna listen to a lot of the podcasts because I've missed a lot of information. So I want to find out more about some of these doctor's notes you can get, because on a previous video I pointed out how there's a lot of fake shit out there you can buy. That was what Doug Casey said on his. I'm not surprised he said that, but he said in Southeast Asia and other places, say there's you can just buy these papers, say you have the test or got the vaccine or whatever you want. So all this stuff is kind of meaningless. That's why I agree with that. Like, that's why shutting down everything doesn't make any sense, because even if you get the vaccine, even if you can prove it, even if you did actually get it, you go to Thailand, you have to have medical insurance to go to the country now. Even if you have your vaccine, you still have to quarantine 2 weeks. Costa Rica, you have to have medical insurance if you go there. They're going to price it so high, so only upper middle class people can travel. Well, legally, I'm just going to put legally. There'll be options for other people. And I'm getting pushed back on a second passport. I can't really explain this to the people, but like, if you have a Peruvian passport, there's a lot of countries you can go to that Americans can't go to right now, because we're on the shit. We're not even on the shit list, but we're on the list where, like, the UK and the United States and Australia can't go to certain countries anymore. Even though we got a first world passport, we can't go there legally. Now, if we have our other passport, we can just fly right in. Well, we have to have a COVID test. I don't know. Every country's different, and they're changing all the time. Brazil changed, Mexico changed. Now you have to have it, but there's so many freaking workarounds on that kind of stuff. I mean, as long as you have the money to pay the fees, have your paper. Anyways, it's I don't know. I'm just kind of bullish about all this in the long run. It's a funny thing. I was listening to Doug Casey's podcast. He's talking about the World Authority passport they used to travel on. Way back in the Stone Age, he traveled into Iceland, I think Ecuador, and I forget where else he said. I don't know if it was Peru or somewhere in the Middle East. But now you can't get away with that. Like he said, now all governments have this in the computers that these ain't real passports. But back in the day, he said, you could use it half the time. But he said now you can use it to register in motels and stuff. But I mean, you could just get a international driver's license and get it in a different name if you can figure that out. And if you travel to hotels, ask for it. Just as I noticed coming into Mexico, almost no bus company asks for your ID, but now one or two do. Before it was none, now one or two do. But if you really worry about it, make sure your ID has your first and middle name spelled out full. Half the time they don't really know what your last name is, so they'll put your middle name. That's what I always do. But also you could just get the international driver's license. Like in Mexico, and then once you get in Central, they don't even know what these things look like. They'll just accept what you have. So if you want to use your nom de plume, you could do that too. But it's hard to even track people here. I mean, if you think what's going on in the UK with Boris is Keystone Cops, you should see it down here. people ask me, well, how are they going to enforce the vaccine in Guatemala? I'm just like, I can't, I don't know how. Like, I can't see it. I just can't see it. I can see people having papers that say they have the vaccine, but how people actually getting it, I don't know. I can't see it. And I can't even imagine like El Salvador and Honduras and freaking Nicaragua. Like, all these countries don't even like to cooperate even just to begin with. So we'll see what happens. I just think the world's going to get smaller, and you can have these regions where certain rules will be and other ones won't be, and it'll depend on too which passport you enter in those zones with. And then there's like South America. Once you get into like parts of Brazil or no man's land in Brazil and not Chile but Argentina. You go to the top of the South America, forget those countries up there, the Guianas. Man, those places are just chaotic as heck. Like, I mean, to go there to visit and see them, that's one thing, but like, here's an example. An acquaintance of mine, he has a business down there. It's a brick and mortar business. He has to buy or source his product from Mexico. Sometimes he has to cross the border, like, I'm not saying, I'm exaggerating, but 150 times. Now, do you really think he comes in 150 times and get his passport stamped in and out in one frickin' day? No, he does what the locals does. He takes his stuff across on those rafts. He, pays the fees and fines and whatever else you're supposed to pay. That's what people do here. Anyhow, he would have used up his passport if he did that because he has to cross the border so much to buy stuff. Anyways, I'm going to load this video up. I had a pretty awesome day today, despite the electricity being off, and now the water's off. And it's pretty good. It's pretty nice out there. There's quite a lot of people going out and doing stuff. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to like do a expat file like Gorge Fest. I'm just going to watch a whole bunch. I got to get caught up. I know I'm missing a lot. First thing I know is I don't think there's going to be I didn't figure there would be a seminar. It's kind of sad, but there's probably not going to be. As far from what I read on the site, there's not going to be a seminar. And this is what's sad. Like, it's like there's all these things you don't think about that are going to be affected because like 0.02% of the population who gets COVID dies. And not to be mean, but most of these people have comorbidity. Instead of dying 2 years out, like Doug Casey, they're going to die like 6 months earlier or whatever. And no one's trying to be mean. It's just like, you're going to die anyways. At least most of us are. Anyways, this is Johnny. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. Send me a private email if you want to consult about something. If I don't know it, I'll tell you. Ask very specific questions. Then I can tell you if I can help you, and I'll tell you what the fee is. I would suggest you consult with Johnny Mueller if you have any interest in Latin America. I would also suggest having an open mind. That's the biggest thing that's hurt me. Not being open-minded all the time. but you live and learn, you get over it. Just have an open mind. There's an exciting life to be had out there. Even if you don't want to live in Latin America, there's Asia, there's Africa, there's I'm not an expert on Asia and Africa. I do know quite a bit about because I used to be there, and I keep up my old contacts, especially with Thailand. I have a lot to say about, not really Thailand, but the perpetual tourist idea. I've come across some very spiritual people that I like and follow, and they're kind of like me. They don't really want to live in one area all the time for the rest of their life. They like travel around. Because I always get pushback like, you don't want to live in one country the rest of your life or get married. And this is a 6-year-old dude. He's got a really beautiful young girlfriend. She's a former model. He's having the time of his life. He's building up a new business all online. I mean, if the 2008 market crash hadn't happened for him, he'd probably be living in the United States on his $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000 income, probably not having a good time. It was actually good that the markets crashed and burned. It was actually good that he had to leave the U.S. and learn how to live on $1,000 to $2,000 a month, learn how to build up another business. But he did have another job to kind of carry him. But he does have specialized skills. I don't want to claim he doesn't, but these bad things can actually be good if it puts you out of your comfort zone. You learn other ways to make money, earn a living, which incidentally, him and his girlfriend having the time of their life. He's now, I could see he's teaching his girlfriend how to, set up a business like his, which is all online, and if make not a fortune, but like our life is so short. Our life is so short. Like, I hope people can enjoy it, even with all these hardships we're facing right now in the U.S. and North America. It's so peaceful here. It's so, civil life is here. It's cool. Civil life, what I call civil life. There's people in Parque Central having a good time. There's people with real hardships here, but they don't whine and complain about it. They help each other out. There's no like welfare system bailing everyone out. There's no one whining and complaining. Well, maybe they are, but it's all in Spanish, but I don't understand. Doug Casey was talking about that too. Like half the shit that goes on when you live in Latin America, you don't even understand it if you're Spanish like me. His apparently is better than mine, but he said for the most part, he can't understand a lot of it, so he can't even hear what they're bitching and whining about. And I was thinking, yeah, that's good. That's good. Anyways, he was just talking about how our life is so short, you might as well enjoy it. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I don't think you can really change the political system. I just think, just leave if you don't like it. And if you like it, stay there. That's cool. But if you can't really change it, just go somewhere where you're more welcome as a human being. There's just so many places you can explore, and yeah, it's going to be tougher to travel. We've just got to accept that. And there's just going to be regions where it's going to be easier. That's why I say it's going to be a smaller world. And it won't be easy to get on an airplane anymore and go far places super cheap. But you can go from region to region to region, if things ever get back to normal, which I doubt they will, but somewhat normal. You're going to have more money to pay for quarantines and all that. Nonsense. Until they stop that. Even in my family, there's problems with the vaccine because, like, most of my family's on the left and they don't want to take the vaccine. They're asking, "What are you doing, Johnny? Are you going to take the vaccine?" I said, "I would love to take the vaccine, but I can't get it anymore." Okay, I don't really want to take the vaccine. I'm just saying, like, even if you want to take the vaccine, depending on where you are at any given time, there's no fucking vaccine. And like in the UK, they put out round 1 under Boris Johnson, and then all of a sudden, all the people who had their appointments to get round 2, now they can't get it. Maybe that's changed in the last 3 or 4 days. What's that tell you? They don't even have round 2, or they're not going to do it? Well, I don't know. I'm not saying there's conspiracy. I don't really think there is, but like where like there's not enough vaccine to go around, I guess, for people. They're not really saying why they're not going to get their second dose of that of the vaccine. But anyways, I just think eventually these countries, especially in Latin America, parts of Asia, parts of Eastern, they're going to let up because their economies are so vulnerable. And their economies need to grow or the people will be in the streets. That's all I can say. People in the West, like in North America and Europe, and for the most part, they ain't going to be in the streets too much. Except for, last summer's violence and the yellow vests in France. And we'll have to see about the UK, but we're so fat and happy and, well, not real sassy much anymore. We'll see what happens. I mean, I could be way off. But I think for the most part, there's just too much of a slave-like mentality with people in the West now. They're so addicted to their welfare checks and their government aid monies that it's highly unlikely they're going to really rebel. Highly unlikely. So if you want to stay and fight the good fight, I wish you luck, man. But I'm going to try to build something here in the region. I want more of an international lifestyle. That's why I like kind of the Johnny Mueller. He has a seminar and it attracts like-minded people. I like that kind of a lifestyle. And I don't really care if I can't go to Europe. I'll just put it out there. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like if I got to go there to transfer to go to one region, like to Asia or whatever, that's fine. I've been to Europe once, but it wasn't intentional. It was accidental. And it looks cool. It's great. I mean, but the slaves type mentality of a lot of people there, it bugs the hell out of me. I want to go to Scotland and go hiking and do some hiking type stuff, but that's about it. I'd like to meet like-minded people there, libertarians. I was thinking about that last night, but because there's so few of them, I mean, you can reach out to them, probably meet them, and do some hiking up there if I ever get that way. But there's just so many people who really, they're like happy to shut everything down. They think it's great. They think getting a government aid check's going to make them happy. Like, man, I don't get them. Like, that's sapping your energy. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to upload this video. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Markets are opening up, I think, now already, so I'm going to check and see what's going on in the currency markets. Hope you guys have a good week. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.